I ghosted my last job and they honestly deserve it. This was in 2019. I was about 23 years old. My friend Tommy got me hired there after my business slowed down. His real name isn't Tommy, by the way. I'm using that just to protect his identity. But anyways, I went back to the 9 to 5 life for the next few months. And this was a collections job, where you call people, they owed you money. They owed money to the corporations, they were in debt. My company at the time bought the debts, and their job was to make their money back and more, just to make profit on it. And yeah, eventually my role was to be the person to make these calls. Those annoying calls when you owe money and they won't stop bringing you down. You owe this much, you owe this much. Can I talk to this person? Your best bet is to block their number, delete their number, and not give it out, just to give you guys some tip. But anyways, this company was crazy, man. The boss was screaming at some managers and even a few employees, but he was screaming at the supervisors and the managers. Why isn't it done? Why is this employee not working? Why isn't It's like they were the things they were saying to their own managers and the supervisors is like the same things that someone would say to you and it would be enough for you to fight them. It was actually crazy, it was pretty much crazy. Like the managers and the bosses and stuff like that, they got on a power trip. The managers and the supervisors would they would get screamed at by the boss, and then they would take it out on the employees. They would take it out on you guys. It was actually crazy, like us, people working. And it didn't really happen to me until the end. The people it did happen to, I just felt so bad. Like imagine seeing these 40-year-old men and women and these older ladies just getting screamed at. It's just like, what the hell? Because if that was my mom, my dad, my aunt, or uncle, I would have probably just lost it on the spot. I would have been like, bro, who are you talking to? Come outside, I would have been more like that, but I had to be professional. And at the end of the day, it wasn't really my family, and I really had to work. But yeah, it was in a place where you're in an unfortunate position, and I seen a lot of red flags, and I was learning things quick, but I was progressing nice, I was getting compliments for the work. I did a good job, but I didn't really think that they were gonna scream and yell at me and things like that. But things start to turn, things turn. But anyways, it wasn't random disrespect when they were screaming at you. It's because you deserve it. At the end of the day, it's not I'm not saying you deserve it, but you were in the wrong technically in their eyes because you didn't do the work correctly. If you did the right work, they wouldn't really give you negative feedback or yell at you or scream at you like you're animals and you're some type of slave. But they were doing too much, of course. If someone isn't doing their work, they should, just write them up or be like, hey, what are you doing? You're not doing this right. This is how you do it. I told you many times, do it like this, da da da. But them, oh man, it would be like, what are you doing? This isn't right. Go home. I'm not exaggerating. I seen that once or twice. I'm really not exaggerating, bro. It was really crazy. It was a mistake. But remember, bro, these people are not slaves. They're humans. They're workers just like you and I. But anyways, a month went by, and this was one of the first red flags I seen. I live in Toronto, Canada, and it gets cold in wintertime. I really wanted to get a winter jacket. This was in December. My mom worked at Hall Renfrew, and she was able to get me a good designer jacket for a good price. A moose knuckle jacket back then was $1,100 or $1,200, and I got it for half price. I paid her half price. She got it for me, and mind you, this was not an irresponsible purchase. This was a good purchase because you gotta invest in yourself during wintertime. It gets mad cold here, and I had a few thousand saved up in the bank account. I think I had 4 or 5K at this time, so it wasn't too bad. It was not a bad investment. I was living at home. It's okay, it's okay to get a couple nice things when you're young. And yeah, so anyways, I wore the winter jacket the next day. It was gonna be my everyday winter jacket. And mind you, I got a lot of compliments, okay? But there was this one girl. She was probably a top 3 sales performer, so she could get away with a couple stuff where, mind you, in a sales or a collections job, the more money you get for the company, the more you can get away with. If you come 20 minutes late, 15 minutes late, but you're their top 2 performer, they're not saying much to you. You can get away with it a bit. You get what I'm trying to say? But if you're top 3 worst performer, you better get there on time. There's no room for errors. If you're a top 3 performer, yeah, you can go on smoke breaks. Every 30 minutes, go on your little smoke break. If your lunch is 30 minutes, you can take it for 45. an hour even, and that's a little bit pushing it. But if you're not making that money, good luck. So anyways, she got away with a lot of stuff, and she was basically like, oh, why did you buy this for, this was like, mind you, this was like $1,000 jacket at the time. She was like, why did you buy this? You're getting $200 every 2 weeks. She was just pocket watching, and bro, she was hating. But at that position, I didn't say much to her because, mind you, at a 9 to 5 job or a job anywhere, you better not tell people your blessings. If you have a couple thousands in your bank and you can wear designer and you have a car, you're good. You're doing better than 80 or 90% of the people there, because a lot of them have to work, unfortunately. And like, this is us now, as adults. This is us. A lot of us are in these positions where we're just relying. And if we see, I'm not me. This is not me, of course. But if most people, they see a kid that's doing well, that's like 22 years old, 23, they're wearing designer, they have a good jacket, they're not really paying rent, and they live at their parents' house, they get mad, they get very resentful. So unfortunately, this was her. So, and most of them are a paycheck away or two from getting in financial trouble. So yeah, they just throw shots. They're resentful. They're angry. But at the same time, I think my best bet was just to stay silent and not say much. I could just be like, bro, stop pocket watching. You're doing too much. You're like, I have 5K in the bank. I could do this. You can't. It's better to not just say that. At the time, because I was planning to work here for like at least 6 to 8 months. But yeah, it got really weird in this company when my other friend Steve, he's a relative of Tommy. I can't give their real names again. But at that time, I was driving a car that was worth like, I don't know, like $2,000, but it was really broken down. It had to get a lot of repairs. I was barely doing oil changes and tire changes and all that. And Steve was just making jokes. He's like, bro, he was making jokes with that girl. He was like, his jacket costs more than his car. And I was like, what is wrong with this guy? I was in shock, bro. I'm not gonna lie, I was disappointed. I was angry, but I kept that anger to myself. It was like, if I told this guy, something would have happened, and like at that time he was relatively older, but like disrespect was crazy. And what was worse? It was the fact that I gave Steve rides to work 3-4 times. Like 3 times at least. And at lunchtime, I would take him to places. We would get food together, And like I don't know why he was okay with disrespecting me. He was okay with that. And honestly, it was a bit my fault because I didn't really stick up for myself back then. This was like 6-7 years ago. I was 23 years old. Like, once you're in 18, 19, you should be sticking up for yourself. Like, nowadays it would be different, bro. It would be different. Steve could never talk to me like that, bro. Even though he's a couple years older, I would never allow that. But back then, bro, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I should have stood up for myself more, especially to people that, because there's some people that they'll go above and beyond. They'll just joke on you and clown on you and shame you. And you're just the nicest friend ever. It's just like, bro, some people deserve to get punched in their mouth. They deserve to get punched, I'm not saying I would do that, but like he would, if something were to happen to him, he would deserve it. He was a trash friend, and I realized, bro, this is not someone that like I want to talk to, or even like be friends with after this job or anything, or seeing after the weekends. So, anyways, later, I never really talked to Steve after that because he was very disrespectful. He was throwing shade. He was literally like, what he was doing was basically also getting other coworkers to clown on me. And he was making them think it was okay to laugh at me, But anyways, it's like, bro, I find them they're all clowns. Like, those people that are just like, I'm not better than anyone, but these people were just clowns. At the end of the day, the people that worked there were like absolute clowns. Like, if they were to laugh at you, just look at them like, bro, who are you laughing at? There's no way. I can go off on you right now, but you're lucky I'm not. It was those type of people. Anyways, I even told the manager. Manager was like, listen to me, giving me advice, saying it's okay, don't worry about that. Just this person doesn't even have a car. They were basically pretending like they were on my side. I complained to her. But later, I found out though that she would tell everybody's business to anybody, bro. She would literally tell everyone's business, like no cares in the world. And honestly, that was my mistake, but I didn't know. It was my first time. Most managers are like that. This is why in many jobs and workplaces, people don't tell their managers much about their personal life or what they're going through. And yeah, it is what it is. You learn the hard way. But anyways, just keep in mind that fact that like on at that time she perceived me that like I was just getting taken advantage of and whatever. But anyways, this was in May 2020, mid-January. And for my clients, I was blessed. For my business, I was blessed. I managed to get clients again on the weekends. I was like, thank God. And I wanted to quit, because I wanted to work for myself. I would make like 2-3 times more money and work just a bit like 4 or 5 hours less per week. So about like 35 or 40 hours a week, I would make 3 times more money at that time. I really wanted to quit. And I told this coworker, and this coworker, he was he was like working next to me. He was he was like my right hand man, and he was an older guy. He was very successful at the job, and he was really much vouching for me to get like promoted within months and stuff like that. And he was he was helping me a lot, and he was a very good guy. And at the end of the day, he managed to convince me to stay. He was just like, bro, you're in a very good position, don't take it for granted, whatever. I'm like, okay, whatever. Well, I'll listen to him. It is what it is. This guy's a good guy. But anyways, the final straw, however, was in February 2020. There was a new task I was supposed to do, but I never done it before. My manager showed me. She showed me how to do it. It was a stupid task, and not everyone could get it on their first try. Not everyone is a super genius. Like, my fault for not being a genius and understanding all these variations of how to do it. I wasn't able to do it. Mind you, I am not exaggerating. I literally asked for help after 5 minutes because I didn't know how to do it, and she literally called me weak in front of the entire audience. It was so bad, I heard silent oohs in the background. I was just super shocked, and I just said, F this, I am not working for this company again. Are these people retarded, bro? Do they think I need them? They need me more than I need them. And this is how they're treating me. I contemplated leaving on the spot, but I was like, nah, you know what? I'm going to make it worse. I'm going to make it worse for these guys. You know what I did? Because they relied on me a lot for work the next day, and like 1 or 2 people were not working. And I was like, okay, you know what? In the rest of the shift, I was contemplating. I'm like, I can quit now. I'm making money for my business. I don't need these guys. And I'm going to work I'm not going to work the next day. I'm not even going to call in sick. I'm not even going to quit. I am just going to ghost them. And I did that. I didn't do any of my work that evening. And the next day came. I just stayed home. I chilled. I did not go to work. I got many phone calls. I ghosted them all. And I just started my business where I left off in November. And I said, okay, now I'm getting clients again. It is what it is. God is good. The next day, I got an email saying I was fired and all of that. I've been terminated. And I'm just like, bro, you didn't fire me. I ghosted you guys. You wish you fired me. You guys relied on me on work. You guys are mad because I didn't show up for 2 days without without any words, anything like that. I was like, okay, you guys deserve it. I don't care. I don't care how much money I costed these guys. They deserve it. Don't ever disrespect your employees. Your employees are not your slaves. But yeah, at the end of the day, that's my story about ghosting the stupid collections job. I was in a blessed position to where my business picked up. I didn't have to rely on a 9 to 5 at that age. I'm just telling you guys to chase your dreams, so you don't have to work for people that are disrespectful. And if you are working a 9 to 5 job, make sure your colleagues, your bosses, the company's ran properly. They're not disrespecting people. They're not treating them like slaves or talking down on them, screaming or insulting them. At the end of the day, humans are not like that. The more disrespect you tolerate, like the more it deteriorates you. It's actually crazy. If you're going to get a 9 to 5 job, make sure it's a job you like. But yeah, that's the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you. Please like, comment, and subscribe.